Hi, friends. So I'm kind of coming into my own kind of little niche of really what I offer, and in finding that merging of the mind-body science and the spirituality, which is a soul-led kind of journey into freedom and liberation of consciousness. And if we're on a mind-body journey into recovery, we're on a spiritual path, whether you realize it or not. And those of you that find my channel, you're going to start to see more of what I'm going to be talking about, which is this kind of blend so that you can understand and you can access this deeper guidance for your recovery. And, when my symptoms became really bad about 5 years ago, it's been about 5 or 6 years now, I hit bottom, right? And I cried out for help. I prayed. And the answer for help came really quickly. I mean, immediately, like the very next morning. And in that way, I started to see that this journey isn't about like a normal kind of recovery process where you go to the doctor and you do maybe some exercises and you maybe go on a diet or you do these things. Because what we're doing is we're going into parts of our mind that keep us from seeing the truth, reality, and it keeps us from actually knowing who we are on the deepest, most fundamental level. Okay? And so, a lot of times when we are on a kind of a mind-body journey, we listen to the videos and we read the books and we hear the programs, and what starts to happen is that the ego kind of takes over and it starts to develop these ideas of I know what to do and I know what it should feel like, okay? And it gets in the way, basically, okay? And I want to start to discern what's different between a soul-led recovery or self-led recovery and an ego-led recovery. Because what we want to do is we want to get into a soul-led recovery or a self-led recovery. And by these terms, what I'm talking about is the awareness that we're using to see things, to see these places in ourself that are dysfunctional or outdated, obsolete, okay? And so the self-led journey is, I call it soul-led because that invokes more of a spiritual feeling, but it's really the self and the true self, right? And the self-led journey knows exactly how to do this. It knows exactly how to set you free, right? And right now your journey is going through, if you're, recovering from mind-body symptoms, is going through a mind-body journey. And this is a very, very powerful journey. And it's been the biggest change for me in my life. But in order for it to go really deep, we need to understand the difference between an ego-led recovery and a self-led recovery. Because self-led is about surrender. And that might sound a little bit unsettling, okay? But what it is, it's about letting go enough so that whatever is next can come up, right? And this is what allowing is. allowing is surrender. Okay? Allowing is getting in touch with an aliveness inside of your being, a presence. And this presence is what starts to activate this healing, this clearing, it's a revealing, all right? Because a lot of people will go into the allowing, and they still, because their ego is leading, they still think it's something to do. Because that's what ego is. It's a doer. I need something to do, I need to fix it. Whereas a real allowing that's self-led is allowing without having any idea. When I allow, I have no idea what I'm allowing. Sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. But it's sending that intention into the deeper parts of my being where the self resides, or the soul resides, and it's kind of opening the door by allowing. I'm allowing that self to illuminate what is next. And in this illumination, then we see what the whole mind-body system is ready to integrate. And if something is not ready to integrate, then nothing will be revealed. All right? So this is important, because it's not I need to allow to see what needs to be integrated. It's allowing on allowing's terms. We're allowing ourselves to be just the way we are, without a need for there to be something to allow. Now, usually there's always something to allow, okay? But we want to make sure, the point of my message today is, are we coming from a self-led journey, or are we coming from an ego-led journey? And I was on the ego-led journey a lot, and it didn't work. You know what I'm talking about. I've got to figure it out. There's a problem. And just that, there's a problem. Well, it's a belief in the ego structure that there's something wrong with me. Okay? And the whole foundation of mind-body work is there's nothing wrong with you. We are taking the mind-body understanding that the brain is not feeling safe, okay, for whatever reason, and hasn't felt safe, even though there's no danger. But if the brain doesn't feel safe, we take that concept and we're learning to bring safety into the system through allowing. But if the brain isn't feeling safe enough, it will keep whatever is next in the unconscious in the unconscious. But as things start to feel safer, okay, because we're allowing without any agenda, as things start to feel safer, things will start to come up in the subconscious. Okay? And that's when things start to get triggered. And that's where you might start to see an increase in thoughts. Okay? And this is a really common thing to happen with people. Okay? But once again, if we're self-led, soul-led, This increase of thoughts is not a problem. If we're ego-led, the ego is going to go, oh my God, my thoughts. And what it starts to do is it starts to resist, right? Which is the opposite of safety. Resistance is, for many of us, what has caused our symptoms in the first place. So once that resistance starts, because if we're ego-led, we are creating entanglement. Okay, but this is something we find ourselves in. We will all find ourselves in this place. It's not a problem, because then we get a chance to see, oh, I've been coming from ego. I've been coming from something with an agenda that's seeing these thoughts as a problem. And there's resistance, and there's wanting them to go away, and there's fighting them. And I understand this, because an increase in that OCD kind of thinking is really unpleasant. I get that. But if you understand through my other videos what protectors do, when things start to come up in the subconscious that the brain used to perceive as dangerous, those protectors will all come out. Those thoughts will come out. They will increase. Okay? And understanding this is the foundation. That's why I'm all about educating yourself about how this works. And I will be updating my educational videos just to get them more updated. But anyway, moving forward, if we are self-led, soul-led, an increase of thoughts is just an indicator that things are coming up in the subconscious, because that's where the brain is like not quite on board. It's like this is unacceptable, these are dangerous feelings, and we don't even know what they are, right? We have no idea. Subconscious still means we have a little inkling, but maybe we don't. But they're coming up. And so here we have this increase of protector thoughts. And honestly, I think this is almost harder than symptoms sometimes, when you get these increases. Because the ego will try to come in and fight them and resist them and not like them. Because a lot of the ego's identification can be wrapped up in those thoughts. Okay? And I don't want to get into that. I want to keep this simple right now. Maybe some other time. But that's why it doesn't like them. If we have judging thoughts, it means something about ourself to the ego. But to the soul and to the self, it doesn't mean anything other than the brain's perceiving danger. All right? And so allowing is, at this stage of the game, really crucial. And this is where we really get to develop our skill. And I've mentioned this before, that allowing is a skill to be developed. It's not something that you can just say, I'm allowing it to be there. It is something that goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the whole mind-body complex, because it's a message of safety. It's a message of neutrality. Okay? Now, if I have looping thoughts and my ego is coming in and fighting them, what do I want to do? Do we want to allow the thoughts? Or maybe even we want to allow the ego that's fighting them, that hates them. Okay? Because that is, if we start pushing that away without making space for it and understanding why it's doing what it's doing, that is going to be a message of safety to the brain because it's neutral and it's self-led. Self-led is safety. Okay? Ego-led is not safety. But ego is necessary to use in our understanding, mentally, intellectually. But self-led allowing is a feeling. It's a presence in the body. And it feels like something that is alive and allows and is aware and isn't in opposition to what's happening. So if you can work on deepening that, and maybe I'll look for some, I'll think about doing some little prompts for that. Deepening that presence of awareness and allowing in the body. Because that's what's going to start convincing the protectors. Protectors are empty, but they still have they're a response. That will start to convince that action, that response, that we're okay. When we can allow that feeling of presence in the body that's not about fixing, but it's allowing everything to be the way it is. Now I understand that this is challenging. It can be. But you will get better at it, trust me. There will be times when it will feel frustrating because the ego isn't getting what it wants from the allowing, right? But there will also be times when it feels really, really good. Because it's that presence that we never got our whole life. And allowing coming from self-led is a real allowing. It's allowing that's going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it will go through the layers. Remember, we talked about the layers of the deeper recesses of our mind. And this is the mind part of the mind-body journey. And so when the mind comes up and it gets activated, we're hitting another layer. So this is a real deep practice of patience and surrender to that soul, the self-led journey that knows exactly how to set all this free. And this is the spiritual journey in a nutshell. Pretty much it's it. Okay? So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you find it inspiring, and you're going to hit frustration. You're going to hit discouragement. Allow that. It's okay. Allow yourself to be right where you are, and trust this wisdom that's within you, this incredible intelligence that's within you. Okay. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.